Zion, Zion.
Hey yo, Ran, turn that up.
Only a few of us gon' make it out. Zion, Zion. Only a remnant, 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 only a remnant. When is my people gon' learn? If you don't come back, you gon' burn. We take up the scriptures confirm. It's time for my people return. Only a remnant, 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 only a remnant. When is my people gon' learn? If you don't come back, you gon' burn. We take up the scriptures confirm. It's time for my people return. Only a remnant. We at the end and we feeling it. We the sand of the sea, but a remnant. Shall return to the word when they hearing it. We the sons of Israel. Our word will never fail. Baptizing in Jacob's well. Holy Spirit ain't playing for real. Will you get protected? He's sending them plagues. I'm trying to make sure that he's sending rain. All in my life, all in my head, all in my walk, all in my legs. You don't got that blood, you walking dead. Walk as he walk, we should live what it say. Only a remnant gonna be spared. Only a remnant gonna be spared. Abba gon' get us out of these countries. Abba said, let me see who really want me. Forsaking our houses, forsaking our money. We got that signal from heaven, he coming. Drinking his cup, nobody running. Flesh getting weak, but the spirit is gunning. We see the prophecy, we know he coming. We see the prophecy, we know he coming. But it's only a remnant, 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 only a remnant. When is my people gon' learn? If you don't come back, you gon' burn. We take up the scriptures confirm. It's time for my people return. Only a remnant, 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 only a remnant. When is my people gon' learn? If you don't come back, you gon' burn. We take up the scriptures confirm. It's time for my people return. Whoa, 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 whoa.
That's how my heart hurts for you. And the son, he died for you. Yes, it's true, yes, it's true. You didn't have no clue. That's because nobody told you. They couldn't afford to. Called you monkey like you Goku. It ain't like nobody owed you. We broke the law and they sold you. We did this all to ourselves, Jacob. Now it's the time that you know the truth. You don't know you so special. You don't even see what's next, though. So we cry, cry, cry. Only remnants gonna make it out of here alive. Please repent, my people, cause we at the end of time.
Only a remnant, 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 only a remnant. When is my people gon' learn? If you don't come back, you gon' burn. We take up the scriptures confirm. It's time for my people return. Only a remnant, 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 only a remnant. When is my people gon' learn? If you don't come back, you gon' burn. We take up the scriptures confirm. It's time for my people return. It's time for my people return.
Well, again, I say shalom unto you. This is Eliyahu, Malak ben Yahudah, and this is the Great Awakening Assembly of the Most High. And like I said, most everybody's probably watching the San Francisco and Cowboys game. But for those of you who are tuning in, I bid you shalom. And in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be February, and we know that it's called Black History Month. And earlier today, I was watching something. It was a guy. He was talking about Black History Month, and he began to talk about it, and I can kind of feel what he was saying. It's kind of, I kind of don't like what the what we call Black history as it relates to who we are as a people. One thing that he said is when it relates to history, where you start is eventually where you're going to end up. So every year around February, we begin to kick off Black History Month of how we came to Americas on cargo slave ships and how we were slaves. And we've been taught our existence. That's our existence. It's like we weren't here before that. We just came out of nowhere. And he made a good point. Why do we always start right there in 1619 and us being slaves? So we have to. It's very important that we look beyond that. You know, who were we before we got? Well, we didn't get on those slave ships before we was kidnapped and taken as slaves into slavery upon cargo slave ships. What were we doing? What was our culture? What was our heritage? What were we doing? And this is what we're going to get into today. Some of those things. I'm going to try to answer some of those questions. It's going to be a topic that many may not agree with, but as I get into the subject matter, we're going to look into it because many people will look into Egypt, Egyptology, Kemet, things of that nature. But we have to understand that Africa is a continent, and I believe it's 87 different countries on that continent, and they all happen to be dark melanated people. So all Black people aren't the same. Okay, it's you have to be. It's very important that we understand culture and even where we came from. Because when I grew up, they just said we came from Africa. They didn't say what part of Africa. Now we know that now as I grow older and begin to study some things, I know that we came from certain specific points in Africa, mainly, largely, mostly West Africa, predominantly, pretty much West Africa, on the slave coast and things of that nature. I'm gonna try to get into it today. I don't have everything that I wanted, but I have enough that we can go off of, and I'll just add there. Hopefully I got the slides okay because I didn't really even look at them. I've had this for quite some time. There's some things that I wanted to add, but it's been a while and I've been holding on to this, so I want to get to it. So without further ado, we're going to get into this message. And again, I am Eliyahu Malak, and this is a Great Awakening. Hallelujah. All right, so what we're going to get into today is, let's see if I can find it. I don't have the first thing. Let me see. This is called People of Color 3, the True Children of Israel. That's what we're going to get into, who the true children of Israel are. So that's what we're going to talk about. If you look previously, this is part 3. I've talked about part 1, how the children of Israel were dark, melanated, Black people. All right. That's important to us to know because what we see is that those that they call Israel are without melanin, more Europeans. And I went and debunked how that cannot be. That's just inaccurate. How can those that are claiming to be the Jews of now be of the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they're all, and ancient Israel were dark melanated people? Then we also talked about in volume 2 of where those Jewish people, so-called Jews, come from, and their bloodline and their lineage and their heritage. So we talked about that. So Now this is volume 3, and we're going to talk about who the true children of Israel are. So I don't think it comes to you as a surprise that I do see and do know, and due to prophecies and research and historical evidence, to know that we are, as the so-called African Americans here, and those that was taken to South America and shipped through the four corners of the earth, are the true children of Israel. And I'm going to give you some evidence of that. Many people, cannot grasp that, and also many people, because of the ones that are telling this truth, cannot digest it. So I thank the Most High that He is raising up true people who have a spiritual inclination to the things of the Most High, who have the character of the Most High, the Ruach HaKodesh living in them, and is present, and it's known, and can speak these truths, and that can be more palatable to our ears. So let's get into it. I would like to start off with this. This is Jeremiah 50. This is one of my favorite passages of scripture. Jeremiah 50 says this. It says, "The word of Yahudah spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet." Jeremiah. We know that today America is spiritual Egypt and spiritual Babylon. So let's see what the Most High is saying, because when the Most High was speaking through the prophets, or speaking to the prophets, He was speaking of intermediate fulfillments, and He was also speaking of final fulfillments. So a lot of prophecies, we have to understand that they're twofold. So let's look and see what the Most High was saying to Jeremiah, or Yirmiyahu. It says, "To declare ye among the nations, and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken, Baal is confounded, Mordek is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded, her images are broken in pieces." All right. And this is something that I feel that has to be necessary in order for the true children of Israel to awaken out of the comatose, awaken from the matrix, awaken from the slumber, because it's not that we're just asleep. We have been given. It's like we have an IV in us, and we're being sedated. It's a constant putting us under sedation, and we can't wake up out of it that system unless that system be unplugged, that IV cord be unplugged out of our veins, so we can awaken. And what I call this IV that sedates us is sports, entertainment, fake news, false media, uh, uh, movies, music. All of these things are distracting us from our identity, our purpose. It's actually programming us. That's why they call TV shows TV programs. That's why a television is called a television. It tells you a vision. So we've been indoctrinized as African, so-called African Americans, we've been programmed to act a certain type of way. Because in 1950s, 1960s, 1940s, 50s, 60s, we weren't acting the way that we're acting now. We didn't go outside half dressed like we do now. We didn't curse out in public. We didn't curse around our children. We didn't do these things. We had morals, and we had structures, and we had people who wanted more. But through the 70s, through black exploitation movies, through the drugs being pushed in our inner cities, through redline, through so much, we've been programmed to and COINTELPROs and all these things. We've been programmed to act the way that we act through music, media, TV, movies, everything, political, economic, spiritual, churches, everything, every aspect of our lives. So that's what's needed. We're going to need for this spiritual system of Babylon to be broken down. broken into pieces. The idols, these football, basketball, TV personalities, all these idols, they have to be confounded. These images that we aspire to have to be broken in pieces. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall not make her, that shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. That's why in Revelation it says, "Come up out of her, my people," so that you won't be partakers of her plague. So it says, "They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast, in those days and in that time, saith Yahuwah. Then, since because of those distractions out of the way, then the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek Yahuwah, their Elohim. They shall ask the way to Zion." Okay, go look at my Kingdom series when I talk about what it means when it says the way to Zion. With their faces thither, we're saying, "Come and let us join ourselves to Yahuwah in a perpetual." That means a continual covenant that shall not be forgotten. Because this is what Yahuwah was saying: "My people hath been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray." See, our indirectly, even unbeknownst to most of them, some of them know what they're doing. Many of us don't know because we don't know who we are. We've been led astray, okay, through doctrines, through religion, through Christianity, things of that nature. We've been led astray, okay. We've been led astray, all right. And it says they have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. Okay. So what constitutes a people being lost? All right. Again, there's three things. I hope I can remember. Number one is identity. Who are we as a people? People now we say, "Hey, I'm African American," or "I'm black." Black is not an identity. That's a identifier of your skin tone, but that doesn't identify where you come from and who you are and what's your purpose. African American, we're not indigenous or native to this land, and we've been removed from our homeland because they have not told us specifically where we come from. So, and Africa is a continent. Okay, so who are we exactly? All right, so identity. We don't have an identity as a people group. All right. Number two, we don't have a homeland. We don't know where our homeland is. Okay, even Jamaicans, Haitians, Dominican Republics, those that are in South America, those that are in Caribbeans, the Bahamians, and all these different things. We've gravitated towards certain cultures and we've taken those places as to be our residence, but those that we're not indigenous, most of us are not indigenous to that land and that culture. We don't have that. We may have gathered some of the culture from our homeland to those places, predominantly the Caribbeans and South. Okay, not as much as not so much African Americans, so-called African Americans, but these other places have got some of their heritage ingrained in the culture in the countries they're in now. But for the most part, that is not. We don't know. We're not speaking our true language. We don't know. Okay, so we don't have a homeland. All right, because your homeland ties you to your culture and language and all those different things. So we don't have identity, we don't have a homeland, and we don't have a culture. We don't have a true heritage. So we don't know what our inheritance. So we've forgotten our resting place. Does that make sense? Hallelujah. So let's keep going. So I want to breathe new life into those of you that are watching. So let's go. All right. So we have to understand this Bible, what we call the Bible, this book, is based upon a covenant relationship that the Most High had with the children of Israel. It's not, I'm sorry to tell you that this Bible is not about Jesus Christ coming to die for your sins. That's not the hallmark of this book. That it's a climatic event that had to happen in order to fulfill the purpose of the book, and that is to bring us back into covenant relationship with Yahuwah. All right, that was a purpose, to get back to the purpose, which was for us to be into covenant. That's why he was the lamb slain, because they killed lambs as part of a covenant. This is a renewed covenant. All right, so let's keep going. So let's look at this covenant. So Genesis 12:1-3 says, Now Yahuwah has said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, into a land that I will show thee. I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curseth thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Now, this is a mouthful. This is truly a mouthful. So now notice what Yahuwah was doing for Abram. At this time, his name was Abram. He didn't have his name changed. So he said, I'm going to give you a land. I want you to get away from your people. Why? Because they were from Chaldea. They were from Babylon. They had minds of Babylon. They had the characteristics of a Babylonian system. So they could not, the Most High could not use them. So he says, I need you to come up out of those people, and I'm going to show you a land. Why is land so important? You need to have land, because then we have bodies, and we have to live somewhere. And then the Most High began to give him certain laws to keep. So that created a culture that was organic and natural, a heavenly pattern, so that he can replicate the kingdom of the Most High upon this earth. And then that he can have children, and then those children can perpetuate this covenant that he was given to Abraham. All right. So he was giving Abraham land, and he was giving him children, and he was giving them culture, and was trying to give him an inheritance. The three things that is needed that we don't have. All right. And he says, whoever bless you, I'm going to bless them. And whoever curses you, I'm going to curse them. And then he said, all the families of the earth is going to be blessed through what I'm going to do through you and your seed, Abraham. Why? Because I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'll say it again. Because when Abraham had Isaac, and Isaac had Jacob, and Jacob had the 12 children of Israel, they became a nation. And the Most High chose them to be the mediators, chose them to be the priest of this earth. All right, a special people. All right, and special doesn't mean more than other. It's not that they were better. The Most High said that it's not because y'all better. It's not because y'all greatest. It's just because of my covenant. It's just because of the covenant that I made with your forefather. I'm choosing you to give you certain understandings, mystery, knowledge, so you can be the custodians of all the things on earth. Okay, and so if the other nations of the earth bless the children of Israel, then they would be blessed. Okay? If they curse the children of Israel, then they would receive a curse, because they were the representatives on earth. They represented the Most High. That's what a priest does. That's what a priest is. He's a representative. Okay? That's why the Most High says, if you do it unto one of my little ones, you've also done it to me. And it's better that you cast a millstone around your neck and cast yourself into the sea than to hurt one of my little ones. If you do it to one of these little ones, you're doing it to me, because they're an extension of me. They represent me. All right? And that's why this nation and other nations around the world are in dire woes, trouble. All right? So let's keep going. Let's keep going with this covenant. Genesis 14:14-17 says, And Yahuwah said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, Lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art, northward and southward and eastward and westward. All the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. All right. This is a covenant. So forever means forever. It's eternal. It does not end. All right. It says, I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Walk through the land in the length of it and the breadth of it, and I will give it unto thee. Okay. So we have to understand that this is not, it's talking about Abraham's natural seed. Okay. Because we have over spiritualized this Bible. Now we just say, oh, it's a spiritual thing when you born again and things of that nature. No, there was a natural, Abraham was a natural man, and the Most High made a covenant with him. And he said this covenant is going to be an inheritance to your children and their seed, okay, forever. All right. So there's a certain position, and if you just stick with me, I'll continue to explain what I'm saying, because I'm not saying that it doesn't matter what someone of another nationality is, they can't come into a salvation or the blessings or things of that nature. They'll come into the benefits of it. They'll enjoy the benefits of the kingdom order, but there's certain levels of high-ranking positions that are left unto the children of Israel. Now, all the children of Israel are not going to be in high-ranking positions, but all high-ranking positions aren't going to be left into the children of Israel. That's the best way I can put it without being too long. All right, let's keep going. Genesis 17:5-9 says, neither shall thy name anymore be called Abram. So this is when he changed his name. This is when Yahudah changed his name. But thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations I made thee. It says, I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant. Okay. He says between Abraham and his seed and his seeds after them in their generations. So if we take this Bible to be real, this is a historic book. Abraham was a real person. So Abraham has children who are walking this earth today. All right. And there is a covenant that is still placed upon those people. Now, as we go along, there's conditions in order for us to be in alignment with that covenant that we have to keep, which in Hebrew means to cherish and to honor as well as obey. To cherish them, to hold them dear to our hearts. All right. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. I don't want to be too long. All right. So I will establish my covenant between me and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be an Elohim unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession. I will be their Elohim. Elohim said unto Abram, thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore thou and thy seed after thee in their generation. So that's why it's so important to have an understanding of the Torah, to understand the principles of it, and understand the eternal essence of it, just not the letter. Because I know people, they're honestly trying to, I don't want to say too much because there's a lot of people that don't know, but they're actually trying to keep the letter, just like the Pharisees and Sadducees, and they're going to end up just like the Pharisees and Sadducees. But you got to keep the eternal principles. What was the pattern, the spiritual pattern that natural law was trying to represent at that time? That's what the Most High really wants for us to cherish, to understand, to keep, so we can have a better understanding of the Shama'ims. And that's what Yahushua was trying to do. He says, you've heard it was said this, but I'm telling you this. And that's why the Most High is raising up those that have spiritual fervor, that can understand these spiritual realities and bring them out of heaven and to give them, and so that we can keep the eternal essence, so that we can be ready when the true kingdom fully manifests in its fullness. Hallelujah. All right, so let's keep going. So Exodus 19:3-6 says, Moses went unto Elohim, and Yahudah called out unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thou shalt say to the house of Jacob, Yaakov, and tell the children of Israel, have ye seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself? Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar. That means a special, set apart treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. He says, ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a set apart nation, a special nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. I pretty much hit the nail on the head with this one already, of showing how the Most High wants to keep He wants us to keep a covenant, because he made us to be a special people, because we were going to be the ones that understood the mysteries of the Shamaim and begin to be like true priests, to take those things and dispense those things to the other nations, and to be a image of the Most High to the nations, and that the nations will have to flow unto Zion, as the Old Testament and New Testament say, that nations will flow in unto the city of New Jerusalem, because there will the law be, and the lawgiver and the lawgivers, those that he's delegated authority to dispense certain spiritual realities. That's what he chose the children of Israel to be. All right. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's look at Deuteronomy 18:15, 18 and 19. It says, Yahudah thy Elohim will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren like unto me. This is Moshe speaking, Moses. And he says, unto him shall ye hearken. It says, I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. It shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. So this is Moshe speaking, and he is saying, hey, you tell the children of Israel there's going to come a time that I'm going to raise up a prophet from among them, and I'm going to put my words in his mouth, and he's going to speak my words. And it says, if you do not hearken unto what he's saying, I'm going to require it of you. Now, they was talking about Yahusha, okay? They was talking about the son of Yah, okay? So let's keep going. Now, this is Luke 21:20 and 24. It says, and ye shall see Jerusalem. This is Luke 20 and 20 and 24. Luke 21:20 and 24 is talking about the destruction. It's talking about when Yahusha was with his disciples, and they was looking in Jerusalem, and they was looking at the how beautiful it was, and looking at the temple and everything. And he told them, he said, there's going to come a day that one stone would not be left upon another. All this is fixing to be destroyed. So to them, that was like the end of the world. If this temple is going to be destroyed, because this is the epicenter of our worship. So this is epicenter of our life, our culture, everything. This is epicenter. So if this is going to happen, tell us when these things are going to be. So the Most High, so Yahushua began to speak them again prophetically, a twofold prophecy. Okay. He was talking about the destruction of the temple, but he was also talking about the end of the world, what was going to happen in the end. Okay. So this is what he began to say. You can see this in Matthew 24 and Luke 21. And I believe Mark maybe 13. I can't really remember at this time. So Luke 21 says this, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. It says, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. What are those things that are written that may be fulfilled? We just talked about one of them, what Moshe was talking about. All right. But woe unto them that are with child, to them that are give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. and they shall fall by the edge of the sword. Now listen to this. And shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Now I want to stop right here, because this is Yahusha. This is that beloved son that we so love. Now, every word that proceeded out of his mouth, we have to take it as gold, all right? As life, all right? So he says that these children of Israel are going to be taken away captive into all nations. That's what he said, all right? And this happened he said this over 2,000 years ago, all right? There's 2,000 years. And he said, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. Gentiles are the other nations, not of Israel, not of Shem, the Shemitic, not of Abraham, all right? You can say the Romans, all right? And it says they're going to be trodden down trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Excuse me. So we know. So if this Bible saying that the true children of Israel are going to be taken captive into every nation, and Jerusalem will be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of Gentiles be fulfilled, how are those so-called Jews or Jewish people be the children of Israel? Because he said that only Gentiles are going to be in the land until their time is up. All right. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. That's prophecy. That's when we start to bring things together, because now we can look. I love the word of the Most High, because you can take the prophecy that said 2,000 years ago, and that can be your starting point. And then now you can take history and see how it lines up from this 2,000 years to now. So what group of people do we know that was taken captive into all nations of the earth, and are hated of all nations of the earth? And what people do we know that are in Israel now, and is saying that those will be the Gentiles? What do you see where I'm going with that? All right, let's keep going. There's more information on that. All right. So what Yahushua was talking about happened in 70 AD. That's why I say I like history. You gotta look at the Bible as like a history book. So in 70 AD, what Yahushua was talking about actually happened. The Romans came in with the help of the Edomites. They came in and destroyed Jerusalem and destroyed the temple. And they even what you call raised the foundation. They upheaved even the very foundation. And one stone was not upon another. They burned it down to the ground. Okay? And the children of Israel fled. All right. So let's look where they fled to. It says, in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem in 70 AD. General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of military governors of Palestine, many outrage and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. It says, during the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from the Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. And you can find this in the book called From Babylon to Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor. So this is something that us as Hebrew people often did when we got in trouble. We fled into Africa. Do you remember what happened to Abraham when a famine came? He went into Egypt, which is Africa. All right. What happened with Isaac? He was about to do the same thing. He fled into Africa, Egypt. All right. He was going to, but the Most High stopped him. What happened when Jacob had 12 sons and there was a famine in the land and Joseph was in Egypt? The Most High took him to Egypt to save his family. What happened? They went into what? Egypt. What happened with there's also a time when when Israel, when they became a nation, had kings and things, when they was in trouble, they would often ask for the help of Egypt to help them. There's a time when the first temple was destroyed, and the people of Judah wanted to leave from Jerusalem. And Jeremiah, he was telling them, do not go, don't leave. They were saying, no, we're going to where? Africa, Egypt. Okay. What happened when Yahusha, when he was born? What did the Most High tell Joseph to do? Take your wife and your baby and the baby and flee into Egypt, Africa. All right. This is something that was done often in the Bible. Often, because it was easier to hide in those places. All right. They wouldn't go up northward to where Rome, where the epicenter of Rome, Italy, and all this stuff, Europe. They wouldn't have gone up there. They would have gone away from the Roman rule. Okay. All that Rome had was like the northern part of Africa. So they came out to the southern, to lower than that, and settled there. All right. And many were taken captive as we read. All right. So let's keep going. And it said over 1 million. Over 1 million. All right. Let's keep going. So I want to break down the curses. All right. Because that was a curse that was being perpetuated because they did not listen to the Most High. All right. So it was required of them. All right. So let's keep going. Let's look at the curses. All right. Before I read the curse, I wanna read this. Let me give you a prelude into what we're talking about. Just give me 1 second. This comes from Deuteronomy 28. All right. Deuteronomy 28. This is what, like I said, we went over the covenant because the covenant is like Israel, our constitution. That's the condition of the promises that we were to get. All right. So this is what Deuteronomy 28:1 says. It says, and it shall come to pass that thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahudah thy Elohim to observe all the things, all of his commandments which I commanded thee this day, that Yahudah thy Elohim will set thee up on high above all nations of the earth. He says, y'all, if y'all keep these commandments, if y'all do what I tell you to do, how I tell you to do, and he says, if you do this, he said, I'm going to set y'all up high above every nation. See, we don't like that in the Christian community. Well, y'all don't like that in the Christian community. No, we don't like that. We don't like even how that sounds. I'm gonna leave that alone. But we don't like how that sounds. Okay. But there's some people who is practicing this very thing of being high above, but they just won't say it. They don't. But you practicing it. You may not say it, but there's certain group of people in America that are high, and there's certain group of people that are very low. All right, as us as so-called African American people, how are we the second largest people group in the United States, but we're the lowest people group when it comes to economic power, influence, things of that nature? Cut out all that entertainment. How just think about this. I know it's gonna be long, but just think about from the time of Martin Luther King, those leaders. Who are our leaders now? Who has stood up for the so-called African American people since that time? What has happened? Who has stood up? Barack Obama? Stop. Okay. Who has stood up for? Who has raised and says, you know what, this is wrong, and try to advance and try to pick up where Martin Luther King left off. Martin Luther King says, hey, it's time for restitution. It's time for reparations. It's time for economic advantage. Just not sitting at the front of a bus. Just not trying to sit at the front of a lunch counter. He wanted more than just rights to vote. He saw that. He's seeing that this ain't enough. Actually, us integrating, we're losing ourselves because we're integrated. If I had a glass of water and the glass of water was black and I put a little bit of red in it, the water is still gonna be black. Okay, so that's what happened once we try to integrate into the system. He felt like we'll get lost in there, and they'll begin to we'll become ingrained into that system, and we'll take the benefits. Like they wouldn't see our, I don't know, they wouldn't see who we were, and we just throw away our culture, our center of belief, what we are. Let's throw that away. Let's integrate. Let's get into this, and maybe in hopes that can live the American dream. But that was a lie. That was a lie. We became even weaker, and it shows. It shows. Look in 2023. Look at our children. Look at their parents. Look at their grandparents. What happened? You know what I'm saying? Look what's going on. Look, I mean, morally, we are off as a people group. But we want respect, but we don't even have respect for each other. And what's been perpetuated as our culture is drugs, crime, gangsterism, thuggism, thuggery, buffoonery, baby mama drama, baby daddy drama, iced out chains, all this crazy, stupid stuff that has no meaning, and it makes us look ignorant, and people can't take us serious. But we glorify the things that demean us, but then we want other people, to respect us, and we don't have respect for ourselves. It's just it makes us look very hypocritical, makes us look very senseless, and it perpetuates the it perpetuates the what's been what it perpetuates what's been said about us. Okay, it perpetuates the stereotype. All right, but let's keep going. I know I'm going long, but let me finish this. Deuteronomy 28. He says, if you obey me, pretty much, I'm gonna set you high above all nations. He says all these blessings come upon you and overtake you. But he said that's if you keep the covenant. But he says if you don't keep the covenant, all these curses are gonna come upon you and overtake you. Now I don't have this is Bible 101. Did the children of Israel keep the covenant? Did they keep it? No, they didn't keep it. That's why they kept going into slavery. They kept going into bondage. They kept going into captivity, had to be delivered. That's what Judges is about. They kept going to slavery, had to be delivered. Going to slavery, had to be delivered. Then you go into First Samuel and First Kings. And that's when the northern kingdom, the 10 tribes, they were dispersed into all the nations. Then you had the southern tribe, which was comprised of Judah, some of Levi, and Benjamin. And then they stayed for a while. They weren't keeping the covenant. So the Most High spread them out. Okay, went to Babylon, took them into captivity into Babylon. That's what we was reading, Jeremiah 50. Okay, then some of them came back to establish, to reestablish a nation, and that's where we get the term. Mostly, you get the term Jews from, the Jews, because only Judah. That's what Jew means, Judah. So only a particular remnant of the tribe of Judah and some of Benjamin and some of Levi came back to reestablish. So then it came back around again full circle. When Yahushua came here, he tried to set them up. He wanted to bless them. The heads and the leaders of Israel rejected him and influenced the majority of Israel to reject. So they went into captivity again and been in captivity ever since. All right. And we're going to get into that. So let's look at the curses. Deuteronomy 28 and 15, it says, but it shall come to pass if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahudah thy Lord to observe to do all the commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. It says, Yahuwah shall send upon thee curses, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand unto to do, until that thou be destroyed, until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. This is a part of the reason why we've been here for over 200 some odd years, been in captivity for over 400 years. The second the second largest population in America and wherever we are, but we don't own anything. Okay, they give you a lot of money and stuff like that, but in those contracts, they'll tell you that there's certain things you can't do. You can spend your money on yourself. You can spend your money on the cars and the clothes and buy all the stuff. That's why they buying all that stuff. You know, but you can't really do anything profitable. All right. If you do too much, we're gonna have to sit you down. That's not no. No, spend it on you. You can spend it on your family. You can do a little something with it, a little business on the side. That really not that. That's the proceeds of something else that a lot of those stars are doing. That then they're able to do a little business. And those foundations that they do, that's really just tax write-offs. They give to these other organizations and foundations. They have to do that. All right. So let's keep going. It says, Deuteronomy 28:21 says, and thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. And we can see this through the history of our people. Because when they finally said that we were emancipated and let us free, we didn't have anything. But since we knew how to survive as slaves, we lived off of nothing, was able to gather some money to get some land. All right. At the eve of 1962, 63, I believe, there was around about 4 or 5 million slaves. And through a process of time, those 4 to 5 million slaves were able to accumulate 200 million acres of property. All right. Now advance now to 2023. We have 45, 48, 49 million so-called African Americans, but we only have less than 20 million acres of land. What happened? How did we advance? Because at that time they knew that land was important. But now we've forgotten that because several reasons. We was beaten into a pulp, land was stolen, you had to deal with racism. Every time they build up something, they would tear it down. Whole cities, they would bomb it, tear you down, scare you. So we couldn't do anything. So that's why now 1950s, 1960s, we begging, please let us sit here. Please let us drink from here. Please let us vote. Let us do something. Because when we try to do for ourselves, y'all won't let us. And y'all give us the worst of everything. But now here it is in 2023. Now people are still saying, why can't black people just get together and just pull themselves up? I mean, you got the same opportunities. But after 200 some odd years, when you've monopolized this whole land and whole region through laws and through jurisdictions and through a system of racism, now you're going to give us the crumbs and to expect us to have or to be complacent with having a good job or having a nice home, able to buy a car or two, and saying that the opportunities are available, but everything's already sold up. All right, let's keep going. Deuteronomy 18:15, 18 through 19 says this, and Yahuwah thy Elohim will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee. I said this, and raise up a prophet. Okay, it shall come to pass. All right, let's keep going. It says, Deuteronomy 28:32 says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longings for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. Okay, so what people group has that happened to through the annals of history? Just think as I begin to continue with these curses, think of every slave movement that they're going to be showing in February. Think of 12 Years a Slave. Think of the Butler. Think of even Django. It's not a slave movement, but it has slaves in it. Think of Roots. Think of what else? The new Emancipated they got out. Think of all of the slave movies that you've ever seen and what has happened. And let's look at these. Look at this. Think of what you know about our history as slaves in America and South America and wherever every place on the nation that they sent us. Let's look at it. And this is the curses that will be upon the children of Israel for not keeping the covenant. All right. Deuteronomy 28:30 says, "Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her, and thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant an vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof." Now, what people has that happened to? What people group has that happened to where someone can say, "Hey, you just asked permission from master that you like this other woman. She probably was on your plantation, or she was on Master Johnson's plantation down the road. You liked her, you want to marry her." They say, "Okay, y'all can marry her." And you marry her, and then when it's time for your turn to consummate the marriage, they say, "Hold on now there's the law state, that Sir Master over here got first dibs on your wife." So then he goes and rapes her, and then he lets the slave husband have her. Then you see what I'm saying? That's psychological. Just think of psychological, because our forefathers were real men at that time who had real feelings, and these was another people over them, and they didn't have no strength in their hands to do anything about it. They just had to endure it. And a lot of us, even a lot of us as people, I think we sort of forget that because of all the distractions that we're into. We are so far removed from what has happened to us, and it's not to instill, it's not to make you mad to want to come at somebody, but to remember so you can do better, so you can unplug from the system. These subtle distractions that you think is just entertainment has got you dumb and docile and demonized to where you won't even pick yourself up and realize what's going on. It keeps you in an altered state of reality. Let's keep going. So look at that. That's from the butler. That's what happened. This man, here he is. It is this David Banner with Mariah Carey, his wife, and his master. I don't know if he was the master. I think he was just a what they call an overseer. Wanted his wife, got his wife, was raping her. The son said, "Paul, what you gonna do?" And he's looking at his son, and he wants to be a father figure to his son. So he goes. He didn't even say nothing. He just said to the man, "Y'all remember the movie? Hey," and stood there. And the man sat there and shot him. So that's the things that we had to deal with. That's the things that our forefathers had to deal with. All right, now I'm okay. Deuteronomy 28:33 says, "The fruit of thy land and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always." That's what I'm saying. Like the amount of money that's in the stock market was made from the proceeds that came from slavery, free land and free labor for over 200 some odd years. And then once slavery is over, they took all the proceeds, all that stuff, and put it into stock markets, and then let it generate with interest and had incomes in these things of that nature. All right. But we didn't get any of that. All right. And like I said, let me go back to this. We built houses, but we didn't live in them. Those plantation houses, even the White House, were built by slaves. All right. We the one that planted all the vineyards and all that stuff, but we didn't eat nothing of it. Actually, they underfed the slaves. They were poor. They was mistreated. That wasn't for their consumption. That was for profit and for the owners. All right. All right. So let's keep looking. It says, Yahudah shall bring thee unto a king which thou shalt set over thee. Okay. And Yahudah shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods of wood and stone. So the most predominant uh, religions that we as uh, the children of Israel are into is Christianity and Islam. All right. That wooden cross represents the wood, Christianity. Now, Christianity is a false religion based upon the Bible. But the system of it, if you look at the roots of it and look at the history of it, of how it originated, it did not originate with Jesus dying upon the cross, and it did not originate from the 12 apostles coming together and going from house to house, and they became Christians because they wanted to it didn't have anything to do with that. Christianity came 329 years or more after the Messiah has passed, and after all the disciples and the apostles were dead and gone. All right, look at it. Look at Constantine and what he did. He's the one that called it Christianity. They didn't call themselves Christians at that time. And that in Antioch, no, I have to do another breakdown of that. And also the cobblestone. That's another form of idolatry of Islam. And yeah, so let's keep going. Deuteronomy 28:37 says, "Thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither Yahudah shall lead thee." So that's what happens. We're called niggas and kushims and kafir and we'll call all these type of things jigaboo and monkey and all these different sambo. We're called all these things, and people don't take us serious. We're an astonishment. We're a proverb. We're a byword among all the nations of the earth. I done hit the camera. Let me see. I'm still in focus. All right. Deuteronomy 28:41 says, "Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity." That's what happened. They sent our children to captivity. I think pictures are worth 1,000 words here. "The stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail." Now notice, how come we've been over here for we know how long, but other strangers that are around us, those are you can call the Indians, the Middle Easterns, the Arabians, the Arabs, whatever you want to call them. They came after us. Even the Great Migration, when all the Polish people and the Irish people and all these different other Europeans that they allowed to come in because because they didn't have any slaves anymore. They couldn't force us to work for free. Then they didn't want to pay us, so they opened up the U.S. border and allow all these other European nations come in to fill those roles, and then that's where you get unions from. The unions were made to keep black people from having these jobs because all the Europeans came together, said, "Look, if you don't pay us this, and that, and you trying to give us them jobs, we not working." And that's where unions came from. But anyway, how come even now, these Arabs, these Indians, these Chinese, Japanese, these Asians can come in and within 10, 20 years have businesses, and 90% of their businesses is in the what you call black community. All right, we get our nails done by who? Vietnamese. We get our hair from where? The Chinese. Who owns all the gas stations in the hood? Okay, who owns the hotels? We've become the commodity of these people. All right, and this is the word. All right, I don't know who's watching. If I hope everything's going all right. Let's look at it. "Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahudah thy Lord, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee." And it says, "And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder upon thy seed forever." All right. So you would be able to know who these people are because these things will be following them. All right. They're going to be following them. Y'all give me a minute. They would be following them constantly. All right. And it says again, it says, because thou servest not Yahuwah, thou Lord, with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. All right. That's the reason. Let's keep going. It says, moreover, these curses, yeah, I read that. It says, therefore shall thou serve thine enemies, which Yahuwah shall send thee against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Now, what other people you know had a yoke of iron around their neck? Look at the picture. That's what they used to do to us when we was on the slave, when we were in slavery. All right. All right. Yahuwah shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the persons of old, nor show favor to the young. Now, this is things that actually happen. What nation do we know is represented by the eagle? It is America. Who was represented by the eagle in ancient times? It was the Romans and the Greeks. All right, let's keep going. And it says, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high fence walls come down, therein wherein thou trusted, throughout all thy land, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy lands which Yahuwah thy Lord hath given thee. All right, so this is just a small number of different cities and different communities that we had, and we were massacred in these places. Just look at Chicago, look at Detroit, look at New York, look what happened in Washington, Philadelphia, East St. Louis, Springfield, Illinois. Look at Tulsa. A lot of people know about Black Wall Street. What happened in Vicksburg, and Elaine, and Clinton. Look what happened in Rosewood. Look what happened in Atlanta, and Charleston. Look what happened in Camilla. Look at these places. New Orleans and Thibodeau. Look at these places. And Slocum. Look at it. And these just this. I mean, man, the list goes on and on and on. Of how every time, like I say, every time we even tried to get a step ahead, they would bomb the places, the communities, and totally just level it. So we could not get ahead even when we tried to just be on our own, try to do for ourselves. They wouldn't allow it. All right. And this just wasn't the people. This was the governments. It was the actual governments themselves. It was local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, state law enforcement. It was governments. There was it was the what you call it, the Army Reserve. It was the National Guard coming in. All right. Let's look at this. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Now, what group of people has this been known for this? All right. Why is there so much black on black crime? Because when you hate yourself, I remember a rapper was talking about this, who is now deceased, of the very thing he was talking about. His name was Nipsey Hussle. He said that, when I was in the streets, what we would do when we would go and ride out, he said we would pass up the squares. We would pass up other nationalities. He said we'd pass all these people up, and what we would do was go and try to find the people that looked like us, that had our type of demeanor. And then we would say, oh, that's him. He said, so really what we was doing, we was looking for ourselves in another territory to kill them. And he didn't say this part because really what it was is self-hate. It's self-hate. Since we hate ourselves, we hate those that look like us and have our demeanor. All right? That's a curse. That's a mind that's a mental mind manipulative curse that is upon us as a people. And then it says he would be he would be his eye be evil towards his brother and towards his wife his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave. That's why there's so much absentee fatherism among that, and also because of the powers that be that has choreographed that, if you want to use that word. All right. Let's see what it says about the woman. The tender and delicate woman among you, which thou shalt not venture to set thy sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter. Okay, that's what it says, and why? That's why we talk about angry black women. Now we talk about I needed somebody that can handle me and things of that nature. There's no form of delicateness. It's rough and it's hard, it's rugged due to their upbringing, because of the curse, and due to what they've seen and what they witnessed, and because of the degradation of our society. We have no culture, we have no moral principles that we can tie down to, that we see as worthy. So it causes these women to be evil. All right, or have an evil eye towards their husband, towards the males in their family, towards their children, and towards their daughters and things of that nature. It's a perpetual thing, and this Bible describes why. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have no assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, would Elohim it were even, and in even thou shalt say, would Elohim it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. So that's what used to happen back in slavery. When it was daytime, you like, oh my goodness, I can't wait till it gets to the evening time. Why? Because you was in the hot sun, you was working, being slave driven, you was being cracked with the whip, you was all this stuff. So you was afraid of that, afraid of that and wanting that to end. But then when came nightfall, you was afraid of the night, because now you don't know, oh man, such and such was mad at me today. I don't know. He said he was gonna kill me. He said that, and then you know somebody's gonna come in at the middle of the night, rape your daughter, rape your wife, kill you, want to kill you, something you didn't know. So you hang in doubt at the daytime and at night. All right, fear, just full of fear. Just think about people having to live like this constantly. Think of the trauma that would cause this, and their children, and their children's children, and the children's children. All right, psychological, and this is their living. This is their culture, inheritance. All right. Let's keep going. And among these nations there shall not find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy feet have rest, but Yahuwah shall give thee there a trembling of heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. No matter where you went to. All right, no matter where you went. Let's keep going. And Yahuwah shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there shall be sold unto the enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Okay, that word buy you means that no man shall be able to redeem you. All right, so let me break this down. So the word Egypt, if you look in, I believe it is Exodus 3 and 13, Egypt is the Hebrew word Mizraim, which means house of bondage. That's what they call Egypt. So this is what it's saying. It says, and Yahuwah shall bring thee into the house of bondage again through ships, through cargo slave ships, because Israel, the children of Israel, didn't have to go on ships to Egypt. They can just walk to Egypt. They could have just been travel to Egypt, but he wasn't talking about this. This is a perpetual curse that was upon the children of Israel. So he says, you're going to be sent into the house of bondage again with ships. And it says, and thou shalt no more see this land again. It says, and there shall be sold unto thy enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall be able to redeem you. There's nobody gonna say, okay, no, I'm gonna take them, because everybody that you knew and that knew you would be in the same condition. All right, Let's keep going. I'm going to skip that. Let's look at this. I wish I could blow this up a little bit better, but this map, it shows the children, all the children of Israel, all the Jews that are in Africa. It shows a lot of the different Jewish communities in Africa. All right. So the Yemen Jews, the Falashas, the Berber, the Moorish, and the Negro Jews. It's the Jewish kingdom of Granada. So in the Fula, it shows a lot of, I can't even see because my thing is very small. But nonetheless, let's keep going. Now let's look at this. Like I said, I wanted some more information to bring this out, but I just talk about it. Now this was made somewhere around the 1700s. Some was made as early as around 1550s, early 1550s. That's when they started to call this place in Africa Negro land. Negro land. So they call this part of what we call Africa Negro land. Now, why did they call it Negro land? Why they start calling it Negro land around the 1555, I believe? They started calling it Negro land because Negro is a Spanish word. All right. And if you look, there's plenty of different books, different things, and it talks about how there was large communities of I'm talking about upward to the millions of black Jews in Portugal and Spain. All right. I don't know if many of you ever heard. I remember in school, just faintly, I remember, you look at certain things and they talk about the Spanish Inquisition. And that was when they was getting all the Jews and they was expelling them and killing them and torturing them, all that stuff. But what they used to tell us is that's when people were searching for witches. That's what I remember. But they did not tell you that the Spanish Inquisition was when they was capturing these black Hebrew Jews and killing them and selling them into Africa in places like Saint Tome, the children, and doing all these atrocities, torturing them, killing them, taking their children into slavery and making them slaves and different things of that nature, and turning them to hate other people of their color. It was training them to hate themselves, to hate their kinsmen. All right. So when they started to sell these Jews and put them into Africa, along with the ones that was already in Africa, they started calling this place Negro land. That's the best way I can put it, just right off the top of my head. That's when they said they call it Negro land, because they was getting black Jews by the millions and bringing them into Africa, as well as the Jews that was known to be Jews in Africa, and selling them. So that's why it's kind of false to say there was Africans selling other Africans. Technically, that is wrong, because what was going on is that there was indigenous people of the land of what you call Africa selling these people that they call strangers or foreigners or those from afar, and they were selling them. And these people happen to be Hebrews. All right. More information on that. Let's keep looking. Let's look at this. Now, if you look in a little bit more, this is called the Kingdom of Judah. This is the slave coast. Now look what they call it. It's the Kingdom of Judah, or Weda. Why did they call it the Kingdom of Judah? Why would they call it this? It's something that they knew about. See, this is the slave coast, and this is where they got many of the slaves from the Kingdom of Judah, because the Europeans of that time and the people of that time knew that these were the Jews. This is where a big community of Hebrew people dwelled. All right. Let's keep going. This is a screenshot that was taken of one of the slave name databases in the transatlantic slave trade. Clearly, these slaves have Hebrew names, and it's compelling proof of where they really come from. All right. So this is the coding, Second Chronicles 7:14. It says, "If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sins and I will heal their land." So this is what the Most High was truly trying to say when he wrote this verse. When he gave even the inspiration of the writer to write this verse. If my people who are called by my name. In ancient times, biblical times, in ancient times, period, often people were named after their deity, or their deity name was in their name. That put them in alignment with their deity and the covenant relationship that they had with their deity and the culture that they was a part of. Like real talk, I can talk to Nigerians now and I say, hey, this guy, I don't know who he is. They say, okay, what's his name? If you tell me his name, then I can see where he's from. I can tell you where he's from. Some people say, look, if you tell me this guy's name, I can tell you, I can bring his if he dies, I can bring his body to his parents' doorstep if he's from afar. That because of the name. You see what I'm saying? So if my people who are called by my name, it's those people who are called by his name shall humble themselves. It's not those people that are saved. It wasn't just that, because there was that construct of what we believe as salvation right now wasn't even there back then. This was talking about a chosen group of people. Man, I know I'm let's see how long we'll be. 1 minute, 1 hour, 22 minutes. That's fine. But yeah, so let's look at this. Now I know I can't see this. I know I can't see it. Maybe y'all can see it a little bit better. But I can see one that says Inya, Inya, Yaha, Akiya, because that's Yah is the poetic short version of the name of Yahuwah. Some people say Yahweh, but Yahuwah, okay? Just like Jeremiah, Isaiah, okay? Zechariah, okay? They had Yah in the name. Okay. So let's look. Hallelujah. All praises unto Yah. That's what was in the name. Their name. That's why they changed Daniel, Azariah, Mishael. They changed their name because it had the name of Yahuwah in it. So let's look at this. Tayaho, Kuya, what's that say? Bunya, Kardea, Yarya, Barbaria, Yafe. All right. So that's baby why we as a people, we like to name our children Janiyah, Isaiah, you know what I'm saying? Shakaria. Why? Why do we? It's ingrained in our genetics. All right. Let's look. Let's keep going. See, I can see these. Badeya. These were the names of the slaves that they took. See, that's why it's so important. People say, why culture is important? Because it ties you to your heritage, it ties you to who you are. So if I take this and I can say, hey, these slaves had this name, and it ties to the biblical culture of what we see in the Bible, and we can bring it together, and it shows you that these people are the children of Israel. Aya, Aphaliah, Aya Logo, Bangya, Yakoba, Oyenaya, Kekania, Onya, Tataya, Ephoria's child, Metya, Yila, Wahayaya, Yama, Aya, Oyaka, Yakomba. I mean, you can't. I mean, you can't make this up because ingrained in their culture was Hebrew language. Okay, let's look at this. I'm almost at the end of this. Now, this is called the Free Blacks of Israel Hill. And let's read what this says. It says, just to the west lies Israel Hill, settled in 1810 and 1811 by approximately 90 formerly enslaved persons who received freedom and 350 acres from Judith Randolph under the will of her husband, Richard Randolph, cousin of Thomas Jefferson. These Israelites and other free African Americans worked as farmers, craftspeople, uh, uh, Appomattox, river boatmen. Some labored alongside whites for equal wages and defended their rights in court. The family of early settlers, Hercules White, bought and sold real estate in Farmville and joined with white citizens to found the town's First Baptist Church in 1836. Israel Hill remained a vigorous black community into the 20th century. I believe this is somewhere in Georgia. Uh, and in this place, they built a church. These Israelites built a church. Now, okay, this is a sign. Why do you got this sign up? Anybody can make a sign that said these people are Israel. Why? What does this sign? Okay, what does that mean? But if you look in this building in this church, they constructed the church. They built the church, and in the church, they have pews in this church, and in these pews, they inscribed in these pews cursive handwriting, and it happened to be Hebrew cursive writing. So if these people uh, weren't of the people of the book, weren't children of Israel, how would they have known not just regular Hebrew writing, but they was writing cursive Hebrew, and they didn't learn this from their master. Their masters weren't Jewish. This is what they had. This is they brought this from their homeland of West Africa when they could freely be who they were in that time period. All right. Let's keep going. Because if you look at West Africa, there's a place in Nigeria, and there's a people called the Igbo tribe. All right. And the Igbo, they say it's like a derivative of the word Hebrew. All right. Igbo or Ibu. All right. And these Igbo people, this is what you can see. This is estimate of slaves in Igbo exported by periods of 1470 to 1867. So the total from the total comes out to be over 1.2. What is that? Million? Yeah, 1.2 million. So over a million Igbo slaves came to the U.S. from the Biafra region alone. All right. I can't remember exactly the numbers. I think they said 60% of us as African Americans have Hebrew traits within us. And if you look deeper, the Igbos, mainly they say they are. If you go to Nigeria and stuff, they know their heritage. They know who they are. They didn't forget. They know that they're the children of Israel. Some are from the tribe of Judah, and some say they're from the tribe of Ephraim, I believe, and some say they're even from the tribe of Gad. All right, and that's something quite important to show us, because if you look at the Jewish community in Israel, they can't tell you where they came from. They don't, they just say we're Israel, or they just say we're Jews. How are you Jews? Do you come from Judah? Do you come from Benjamin? Are you some of them they try to say we're Cohens, we come from the lineage of Levi, but where, what I'm saying? And then when you go genetically, it shows you that they're from the Mongolian, Turkish, Caucasian region, and they have none of their lineage comes into the Middle East or Africa or any part of that region. All right. Uh, and how is 98% of the jewelry of the fake Jews, 98% they come from German, Roman, they're Ashkenazi Jews, and the other two are what they call Sephardic. So what? It's 12 tribes. But you go to Africa, these people tell you, hey, I'm from Gad, though. I'm from Gad. Or I'm from Dan. I'm from Ephraim. We're the people of Judah. They can tell you. It's in their oral history. All right. See, people try to put a lot of things. Oh, well, it ain't written down. You can lie in the book just as well as you can speak a lie. All right. We see it all the time in the news, but they're just lying. So these people carry their oral traditions and their oral heritage with them, and they pass it down, and they know who they are. All right, so let's keep going. This is a picture. It says some accounts place some West African Jew. I'm not gonna say Jewish because they're not Jewish. They're African Jews. Communities in the Ondo Forest of Nigeria, south of Timbuktu. It says this community maintained a Torah scroll as late as 1930s, which was written in Aramaic that had been burnt into parchment with a hot iron instead of ink, so it could not be changed. See, these people burnt in Aramaic. How did they know Aramaic? How would they know that language when that language is not indigenous to the region that they're in? Because they didn't they didn't come from West Africa. They came from Israel and they migrated to West Africa, and they kept their customs, and they had a Torah scroll, and it was engraved with a hot iron in Aramaic, so that no one can tamper with it. And this before any European invasion, any European influence. All right. And it says, see, Gonan and Revika, or Revaka, however you say it, the quest for the 10 lost tribes of Israel to the ends of the earth. All right. So this is my last scripture, I believe. And this is Isaiah 11, 10, and 14. It says, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahudah shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the isles of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together dispersed of Judah from where? The four corners of the earth. So that is a promise that the Most High has said that he would do. And even in some of the places that they named, mostly were in what you call Africa. And even what we call the Middle East, that was a made-up term, which is really Africa, or Kemet, what you want to call. Kemet means the land of the blacks. If you want to even talk about where Babylon is, the Chaldeans or whatever, it meant red. It meant hot, burnt face people. See what I'm saying? Because the temperature there was 120 degrees. And I don't know if I said this before, but I'm gonna say it again. I've heard that it was said that the two number one places for cancer, for skin cancer, number one is Australia, because you have British people coming into a hot climatic Australian region, and they're not indigenous to that place, and because of the heat, and because they don't have melanin in their skin. See, melanin is like melanin is a natural UV protectant. It protects your skin from the ultraviolet rays of the sun. So they don't have that protection upon them. So they develop a lot of skin cancer. That's number one place in the world. And then they say the number two place in the world is Israel, because you have these European people then took over, then assumed their identity, took over a land of those people of that identity, and because of the the conditions of that place and the heat, and they can't take it, they often get skin cancer. So that's the number 2 place in the world for skin cancer. That's see when you. That's why I thank the Most High that think critically, use history, use science, use facts, use the Bible, and put these things together. All right, and just think. You see what I'm saying? Just think about start. I've heard this. If you think twice, you'll be a genius. If you just think twice, just think about when you hear something or what you've heard. Look into what you called your doctrine or your traditions or what you believe in. Look at it again. I spent my years, even though I was raised in a good family environment, a good church home, and I thank the Most High that we were in truth. You know what I'm saying? We knew who we were. We kept the commandments to the best of our ability. We kept Torah. We did the feast days. We went to church on Shabbat. We did all these things. But when I became serious and when the Most High introduced himself to me, I began to have to set all that stuff aside. Let me look over this thing again. What are we doing? Why are we really doing this? Because if the whole world's saying this is right and we're doing this, because at that time, I didn't know of anybody else doing what we were doing. I was 19 years old. I was like, I didn't know that there was Hebrew communities. I didn't know anything about none of that. I just knew, hey, the little bit I know over the years, we did it because it's in the Bible, but I need to know for myself. And it took me years of studying. It didn't take 2 weeks. You get tired over 2 weeks. You get tired 2 months, 3 months. You ain't get no answer. It took me 3 years to get to receive a breakthrough. And the Most High began to put me on a journey. I would read 4, 5, 6 hours a night. And I would get frustrated, but Most High said to keep reading. And it began, certain things just began. And it was a certain time where it's like all the things that I was studying and getting stumped on, he just brought together like one big major stream. And it clicked. And he sent people my way that spoke to me, said, hey, the Most High gonna give you a revelation. Now they were in Christianity, but they were considered prophets. And I know that the Most High was using them because the very thing that the Most High shed light upon me with was the thing that they later some of them began to, well, a few of them, some of them came into the truth themselves, but some of them began to refute it. It was too hard for them to understand. But they were the same ones that prophesied. Or there were some people who didn't know me personally, but they say, you know what, the Most High, a lot of people ain't gonna understand you. This is what people say. A lot of people, you got an anointing on you. The word is in you. He's going to give you a certain truth that a lot of people are not going to understand. They're not going to take it. They're not going to receive it. Don't worry about it. And I knew if the person speaking knew what I knew that he was talking about, he wouldn't receive it. But that's how the Most High, he works in those type of ways. All right. So that's all I have. That's why I'm going to stop at. But it's important that we understand who we are, where we come from. This is an introduction, I guess, to Black history, true history of who we are. And this is just skimming the surface. We are the children of Israel through Bible prophecy, historical evidence, and even even if you go to your DNA, it shows it. So it's time that we return back to our former love, because like I said, it's important to understand who you are, because you can align yourself to your Elohim, so that you can be the head and not the tail, that you can be above and not beneath, that you can be lenders and not borrowers. All right, with great, the Most High says, Abraham, king's gonna come through you. See, you're a king, you're a prince, you're royalty. So what's much been given, much is required of you. So you can't use the excuse, well, they do it and they get away with it. See, that ain't fair. That ain't right. See, when I do it, I get, yeah, it's cool when they do it. I've heard that. I've heard that. I ain't heard the song, but I hear people say it a lot of times. Yeah. Yes, it is cool when they do it, but when you do it, it is a problem because you're of a higher standard than those that are around you, other nations. You can't do what they do because you're not under the same covenant that they're under, and you don't hold the same position that they hold. All right. So you have to, that's why it's important to know who you are so you can fulfill the purpose that was given unto you so that you can come up high. Because uh, because it's not important to just know what to do, but to know how the Most High require you to do it. If I told you, the Most High gave you instruction to get to somewhere, and He says, when you go out here, go take a left, take another left, then take a left. You'll be there. But you say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to take a right, then I'm going to take a right, and I'm going to take another right. I'm going to go this other route. Yeah, you get to the same destination, but since you didn't do it the way the Most High told you to, you don't get the benefit. You don't get the blessing. You go to hell like that. It's not the result that He's looking for. He's looking for you obedience and the instructions. All right? Your way is not His way. He's saying doing it His way. Do it Yah's way. Do it His way. You look at the result. Well, I can do it. I can do this much quicker and it'll be much easier. Than I can get more. But no, that's not what He requires you to be obedient, to follow instructions, to know the way to Zion. All right, because there's a way that seems right in your eyes, but to Him, it's destruction, it's death, and it leads you to Sheol. All right. So that's all I'm gonna say right now. I'm gonna shut my mouth, and I pray that someone be blessed by this message. To some of us, it is just a refresher. To some of y'all, I pray that it be an eye opener, that it be a catalyst to jettison you, to catapult you into a life of liberty and pursuit of all things that are good and true and honest and that's holy. That open your eyes to know who you are and whose you are and who you belong to, and how to get back in true alignment so that you can be in the right line with the Most High for you and your children's children, so that when the last of the very last days can come, that you have a lineage that can uphold the word of the Most High and to redeem your bloodline. So until next time, I am Eliyahu Malak, and I say to you, Shalom, and may the Most High bless you. Hallelujah. To the Most High be the glory. Hallelujah.